Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight, as we always do. We're going to be talking about the right back situation. Bayern Munich have put a price tag on Mazraoui's head, and it's out of this world, to be quite honest with you. It's absolutely atrocious. We'll talk about that and the knock-on effect that it does have as well in relation to United looking to recruit a new right back. We'll talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and we'll talk about Denzel Dumfries as well, who has emerged as quite a, I suppose, a legitimate target for Manchester United. We're also going to talk a little bit about the central midfield area. Now, we do know over the weekend Manchester United have basically distanced themselves from Manuel Ugarte. So we'll talk about some of the replacements that United are being linked with in relation to that area of the field. We were hearing today, earlier on today, about a Burnley player who has got relegated with both Burnley and Sheffield United. We'll talk about that as well. What does it mean for Manchester United's pursuit and maybe hijacking of another player on AC Milan? We'll talk about that also, guys. And last but not least, interesting reports coming out today about Antony being linked with a couple of different clubs, some legitimate and some you just think are away with the fairies, but we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Please do smash a like on the video, guys, if you haven't done so already. Do hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 11,000 subscribers, and to be honest, we're absolutely flying it. We're nearly there. I think we're in around 200 away from 11,000, considering we only hit 10,000 2 weeks ago. It's absolutely brilliant. So do smash the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. But as always, guys, get your comments in to the comment section, into the live chat, and we'll go through as many of them as we possibly can throughout the show. But I do want to start, guys, with the right back area, and we do know Manchester United, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Mazraoui, Dumfries, number of different players being linked with United at the moment. Mazraoui is probably the number one target at the moment, and reports coming out from Florian Plettenberg today saying that negotiations for Mazraoui are more concrete at this stage, with the transfer fee expected of at least 25 million euros all in. Still waiting for Aaron Wan-Bissaka and West Ham. Now look, let's just start straight away there. 25 million for Mazraoui is way too much money, in my opinion. It's way too much money. We've been talking about potentially getting a like-for-like replacement coming in for Aaron Wan-Bissaka in terms of maybe a backup right back. Now, we're talking about getting maybe maximum 18 million euro for Aaron Wan-Bissaka from West Ham. And then you're going out and looking at Mazraoui, who's a lot more injury prone than Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and who's probably not a better out-and-out defender, but would probably be slightly better in terms of in terms of the modern day fullback. I think 25 million is an awful lot. I really, really do. I think it's too much to be paying. To be honest with you, I would rather keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka for the year. And the reason I say that is because we've heard yesterday as well that Aaron Wan-Bissaka, to leave Manchester United, supposedly wants his contract paid out because he's obviously not going to be earning as much at West Ham. Now look, the reports on this, I don't know. I've got nothing but good things to say about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's the utmost professional. He puts his head down. He works hard. He doesn't get involved in the media, outside of the game, so on and so forth. He doesn't seem like a bad apple. So it kind of, I don't know if I believe whether he actually wants a payout to leave Manchester United or not. Now, look, again, we've spoken about this for a long time now, that, when there was talks of a takeover of Manchester United, we did say that there would be a hangover from the previous regime, and we are seeing that. We've seen it last summer with Harry Maguire refusing to leave because he's on good money. Scott McTominay similarly, although he might leave this time. We're now hearing about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Basically, we gave silly money to average players over the last few years and over the previous regimes, and that is going to continue to happen until we can clear all of them players out. Now, that might not take today and tomorrow. It could take another couple of transfer windows to get that done. But you're talking about your Harry Maguires, your Victor Lindelofs, your, Scott McTominay's. You could even maybe go as far as the likes of, Luke Shaw, Antony. Now, I know Antony wasn't in this regime. Casemiro is another big one. Christian Eriksen falls into that category as well, Now, look, I don't think Christian Eriksen is on massive money, to be honest. But we're talking about, a hangover of players signed by the previous regime that the new regime at Manchester United need to try and get off the books as quickly as possible. And it's not easy to do when you give average players big money. And that's what the previous regime at United tended to do. So, look, when we're talking about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, reports today from David Ornstein have suggested that Denzel Dumfries does not intend to engage in negotiations with Inter Milan over a new contract until the transfer window is closed. He does remain focused on a move elsewhere, with the possibility of joining Manchester United carrying particular appeal. Now, you might say, how does that involve Aaron Wan-Bissaka? He goes on to say that this would only be an option if Aaron Wan-Bissaka definitively rejects a switch to West Ham. Wan-Bissaka favours the prospect of Inter, but Man United would prefer to sell to West Ham and sign Mazraoui, with talks ongoing. So basically, how this is shaping up is, for Denzel Dumfries to come to Manchester United, you'll be looking at kind of a swap deal with Aaron Wan-Bissaka going the other way. Now, Manchester United are not overly appealed by that deal. They would rather offload Aaron Wan-Bissaka to West Ham and do a separate deal for Mazraoui instead of Denzel Dumfries. Now, look, again, David Ornstein is always pretty spot on when it comes to reports, so you can take it as close to the truth as possible. But I mean, Denzel Dumfries, you're talking about, what is he? He's 29 years of age. And he's probably going to be coming in looking for regular first team football. Maybe that's why Manchester United are looking to angle towards Mazraoui instead, and get him in as maybe a squad player or a rotation player, or basically a straight backup to Diogo Dalot at the moment. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to right back, and it is going to be interesting. I did want to just put this one up as well. United's offer for Matthijs de Ligt is not sufficient to proceed with the deal. The two clubs remain apart on their transfer fee. Bayern still demand 50 million plus bonuses, and I think that's probably why we're seeing the separation of the bids again. We did hear at the end of last week that there was a joint bid gone in for both De Ligt and Mazraoui. Over the last couple of days, a lot of interest, and a lot of reports have been focusing on Mazraoui specifically, more so than both of them together. That right back situation is one that's not going to get resolved until Aaron Wan-Bissaka makes up his mind on whether he's going to go to West Ham or not. Manchester United want to move him to West Ham, and then that will start the domino effect to maybe Mazraoui, and you never know, De Ligt as well. Maybe that's what's holding the De Ligt deal up, is you might still have a dual bid there for both players from Bayern Munich, but we're just waiting on Aaron Wan-Bissaka to actually go to West Ham before we put in another bid for both players. Once the first domino falls, Aaron Wan-Bissaka going to West Ham, then the rest will quickly follow in terms of that right back area, and potentially Matthijs de Ligt as well. Let's get down through some of your comments here and see what you guys are saying. Oshin says, wonder why he's starting with the right back. Is there someone available from Kilkenny? Lads, world class performance up in Ballyfermot the other day. Unbelievable. Neverworld says 25 million. Saw that get Frimpong clause paid as well. At least we know he's worth the cash. That's a good point there by Neverworld. Oshin says you were right, Ben. The head just about fits in the screen now. I'm too famous to be talking Danny at this stage. Aaron Wan-Bissaka can play every single game with no break until next season, says Neverworld. Danny says, I'd be keeping Wan-Bissaka. He's a good player, and on his day, he's probably the best one-on-one defender. It makes no sense letting him go. He's a better player than the Bayern right back. Well, again, we go back to what we were saying last week, Danny, is that we've got smart people behind the scenes now, and they're not going to allow players to leave on free contracts, if at all possible. We have to think about financial fair play. We've seen the majority of clubs this summer really, tighten the purse strings. We really have. Look at the amount of signings that have got over the line so far from the top six. It's very, very few, to be honest with you. So, I think whatever money we can get in, we can't be allowing players to leave on leave on a free. Did I hear the Saudis are after Antony? We're going to talk about Antony in a moment. All right, at the end, we'll speak about Antony. Keep the best till last. Thought McLaren Stam will be on the live tonight. I asked them. They were too busy. Yeah, they said maybe next time. Dumfries will also want this last big contract. Not worth it. Yeah, great point there as well from Ushin. Dylan says Dumfries won't come in. Ineos are looking for players under 25, so we won't be getting him. Mazraoui and De Ligt will be here before the window closes. I'd like to get De Ligt in as soon as possible because I don't want Victor Lindelof or Harry Maguire starting the season. I really don't. I would like to see De Ligt in as quick as possible. Get him in, get him, acclimatised and get him starting alongside the Butcher for Fulham. Chris says, Aaron Wan-Bissaka said today he is in no hurry, could want to stay and play out his contract. That's the concern. It's a big concern. Dylan says 50 million for both of them is a steal. We should take it straight away. No, 50 million is just for De Ligt, Dylan. 50 million plus bonuses is De Ligt only, not for both. He also says, honestly, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best defensive right back in the world. Just give him a new contract. Right back ain't even the main position we need to upgrade on midfield. Needs more upgrading. Well, yeah, and look, we do have to reiterate what we said last week is that he's probably going to be a backup to Delo, and maybe he just doesn't want to be that anymore. Better yet, Mazraoui and Dumfries. Let's go and get the right back, Traore from Sociedad. Oshin says, I want to see De Ligt Martinez play Saturday if possible. And Bover is in. He says, we don't seem to be selling anyone. McTominay, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro were all going 2 weeks ago and now nothing. That's the concern. And that's what we've been saying about deals, to get players off the books at Manchester United has been, historically has proved to be very hard, and it's no change under Ineos. Legally speaking, these players have got contracts. They're well entitled to stay until the end of the contract if they want. And it goes back to the previous regime of giving silly money to average players or players that are maybe past their best. Casemiro, for example. So that's the concern. And, this is not going away. We're not going to see, every player from the old regime gone overnight. Now we're after getting some gone, which is good, but the ones that are on decent money are just going, we'll stay put. You know what I mean? I'm not going to half my wages when I've got 2 years left on my deal, just so you can offload me to, I don't know, wherever, Fulham or somewhere. That's the problem. Backup or not, why would we change? I think Delo was class last year, one of our best players. Yes, but you can't let players leave on a free. You just can't let players leave on a free. If he won't sign a new contract and be a backup, we have to sell him and get some money for him. You can't let him leave on a free. We should play behind closed doors. The more we see Casemiro, the more his value drops. Right, let's move it on. Speaking of Casemiro and central midfielders, obviously we haven't been live since the end of last week, and a lot has changed in relation to Ugarte. Now, David Ornstein says yesterday, Manchester United switch midfielder search away from Ugarte and onto other options. Man United don't intend to meet the €60 million fee and will only revisit if PSG drop their price. No progress yet, talks cooled and exploring other top targets for the right deal. Now, this was it was annoying to hear, to say the least. But the more I suppose, read into it, and the more I looked at it, and the more I thought about it, it's actually quite refreshing, to be honest with you. Manchester United are no longer being taken advantage of in the transfer market. And, there may be a couple of players over the next couple of seasons that we lose out on because the selling club wants obscene amounts of money just because it's Manchester United. And we're, digging our heels in now and saying, no, we're not paying silly money anymore. You look at João Neves, for example. We walked away from that. Although that deal, so we walked away from João Neves because Benfica wouldn't budge on €120 million. That was his release clause. But yet, They sold him for 60 million euro to PSG plus 10 million in add-ons, and Renato Sanchez goes on loan with the option to buy. There's something really fishy about that deal, to be honest with you. There really is. Considering that we wanted him at the start of the transfer window, and we would have paid 70 million for him, and we would have loaned them, Jesus, Scott McTominay, Christian Eriksen, and Casemiro, if it meant we got him. So there was something fishy about that. But my point being is that United walked away from the deal because it was too much. We walked away from the Brantwaite deal because it was too much. We're now walking away from the Ugarte deal because, they're not willing to lower their price and negotiate. United are not going to get taken advantage of anymore in the transfer market. And it is quite refreshing. But we do have to realise as fans and not lose the plot too much when we see, we might get excited about, being linked with an initial player. And of course you would. But if they're not willing to lower their price to what we deem that player's value, then there shouldn't be a deal on the cards. There really shouldn't. So that was what happened with Ugarte. Now, James Ducker in The Telegraph has said Manchester United have switched their focus to a number of different midfield targets, including Sander Berg, Richard Rios and Martin Zubamendi, or could even be back in for Sofian Amrabat after balking at PSG's asking price. Now, we did hear this morning then coming out from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic that Burnley's Sander Berg is under consideration at Manchester United. Club officials have made contact with his camp and Burnley are prepared to sell. Okay? Now, I done a TikTok on it today. Look, there are better players out there. Of course there are better players out there. You could get this guy for as little as 20 million euro. But is he what we need? He's 6'3". He's got some good defensive attributes. If you look at his stats online, aerially, he's very good. Good in the tackle, good in recoveries. He also has a good pass completion rate, and he also has a decent enough progressive carries, which means he likes to get on the ball and he likes to get up the field with it. And when you're talking about maybe the modern day defensive midfielder, there are kind of attributes that you're looking at. It doesn't blow the jocks off me though. It's quite underwhelming, to be honest, when you go from Ugarte to Sander Berg. Now, okay, let's all take a second and speak about what we're all thinking here. Is this Manchester United saying to PSG, you're after signing João Neves, you don't need Manuel Ugarte, we will go somewhere else, and I think we will go somewhere else. And hopefully then that will bring PSG back to the table and go, okay, I mean, PSG are basically, he came from, where did he come from last year? Was it Benfica maybe, or somewhere like, or Sporting? And had an average enough season in Ligue 1, and PSG want to sell him for more money than they bought him for last year. So it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. But again, it's smart manoeuvring out of Manchester United. We are looking at numerous options. We are negotiating with numerous clubs for various positions. So our options do remain open if we do decide to move away from... I mean, if we decided that Sander Berg was the one, we could have that done by the end of this week, probably. We would get a pretty quick, here we go. But I think it's a ply out of United. I really do. I think we're using these reports and these, and they're not just reports. I genuinely do believe that Manchester United are going to Burnley and they're sitting down and talking about him. And of course, PSG are finding out about that and they're going, well, we're after spending, 70 million on a central midfielder. We also loaned Benfica another central midfielder. Is it time to move on Manuel Ugarte, who we don't want, we know they don't want him either. So yeah, I mean, it's one that is quite frustrating because again, we're talking about the hangover of the previous regime when it comes to players within the club. We're also seeing it in the transfer market because we're being taken advantage of quite easily and quite often over the last decade. And I think us trying to put a stop to that is the only way for us to attack the transfer window correctly. Let's see. Any more talk on Rabiot, says Finn? Not that I've heard, to be honest with you. Not that I've heard. Look, when players are on free contracts like that throughout the summer, they tend to take their time. And a lot of the time it's last minute because they're waiting for, maybe Barcelona or Real Madrid and they're just weighing up their options all of the time. So that's something that I think will probably run on into the latter stages of the transfer window. Chris says, Jack, I have to disagree. Where is this great Ashworth? He has to wait 5 weeks to find out Ugarte's price is not coming down. We should have walked 3 weeks ago. Well, look, I mean, I understand that, Chris. I really do. Sometimes sometimes you just have to stick with it. I mean, if they're identifying, I'm sure they're getting some indication from PSG that they're willing to negotiate, but I do understand what you're saying. I have to, we can't just forget about the 2 deals that have already got done. We got Lenny Yoro and we got him from under the noses of Real Madrid, and we got Joshua Zirkzee from under the noses of AC Milan, and I think they will be 2 very good signings. I understand I think maybe why the midfield has taken so long in terms of getting players in is we still haven't got anybody out the door. I think we've been waiting on Casemiro to go, and we know that the interest from Saudi has cooled over the last couple of weeks, and that's absolutely disappointing. And we know Scott McTominay has been linked with Fulham, but Fulham are lowballing us as well. So, I mean, you can't have Fulham grabbing one fucking nut and lowballing us, and, PSG grabbing the other nut and fucking highballing, and trying to absolutely rise and pulling us in either direction. Something has to give, and if it means walking away and saying, look, we're not doing it, then let's go, you know what I mean, and let's do it and let's move on. Look, there is plenty of time left in the transfer window. I would like to get a central midfielder in ASAP. That would be your... Well, we now need another centre-back in because Yoro is gone. Centre-back, centre midfielder are priorities over the next week or two before that Fulham game. So what are we, 10 days? It's Friday week. So, yeah, we're about 10 days away from the first Premier League games. So, yeah, this week is going to be key. Sad Ugarte move the focus... move the focus to Zubamendi and get him in the door. Dylan says PSG only got him because the Benfica board were trying to get Renato Sanchez for the last 2 seasons. It was considered a dream signing for Benfica. The board wanted Sanchez for longer. There we go. Dylan says Sanderberg ain't a United player. He's more of a player that would play for Everton or Ipswich, some club like that. Dylan says, Danny Olmo just got confirmed by Barca. Why don't we just get De Jong? Now, we're going to talk about De Jong in a minute. Let me go down through some of the comments. I reckon we'll get Rabiot. He's free, 10 million sign-on fee, and give his mother another 5. Chris says, Jack, if you look at Berg versus Ugarte, Zubamendi, João Gomez, and Andre, Brazilian from that team are all rated better than Berg. Berg is not good enough. Yeah, look, I'm not saying he's good enough. I'm 100% in agreement with you there, Chris. Absolutely. Me just trying to keep it positive and get some of the positive stats out there. But look, let's see what happens. Danny says there's better players out there than Sander Berg, but his stats talk for themselves. 20 million is nothing compared to 60. It's smart business. Well, is Ugarte 3 times better than Sander Berg? I don't know, to be quite honest with you. I haven't seen an awful lot of either of them. We're trying to make PSG jealous, says Finn. I think that's probably what it is, to be honest. De Jong is on £1 million a week. That's why we don't want him. Ben says, use Sancho in the Ugarte deal. If you want him and we want him, you pay 50 million for Sancho and we will pay 50 for Ugarte. Job done. It's easy. It is easy, Ben. It is. But I think the issue so far with Sancho is affordability for PSG more than anything else. Need to look at Andre properly, as he has performed every time he's been on the pitch. Sanderberg isn't as bad as people are saying. A mate of mine supports Burnley and he rates him not the sexy signing we're looking for though. Well, someone made a great point on the TikTok that I made today. Why is it that Liverpool can sign players from the Championship and they're raving about it, and we sign players from the Championship and we go into complete meltdown? And it's a valid point. I mean, they signed Andy Robertson from Hull, was it? So and look what he turned out to be like. So I'm not saying that this Sanderberg is going to be the same, but let's just trust the process for the moment. With the Ashworths and the Baradas and the Wilcoxes, like we said, they've got a couple of transfer windows of leeway, and outside of that, then the criticism will come. Some sort does right out there, and you usually pay extra for that service, yeah, or so I'm told. We play Fulham in 10 days. No one we bring in now will play against Fulham. We will drop points yet again. PSG trying to play us. They still think we're like that. We were the Glazers overpaying for fools. Don't even mention De Jong, says Bover. Yeah, we need to pay them to take Sancho. The PSG are going to be jealous over us going for Berg. Laughable. Well, no, it's not that they're going to be jealous over us. It's they're going to say, right, well, they're not going to come back for Ugarte. They're not going to be jealous, but they're also going to miss out on maybe Ugarte leaving when he wants to sign for Manchester United. So yeah. Did you just compare Liverpool favourably to us? What is this? I didn't. Somebody in the comment section on TikTok did, and I'm relaying that information. Anyway, let's move it on, guys. When we're talking about central midfielders, we do have another person to talk about here today, and that is Youssouf Fofana. So reports today were saying, and now this is Fabrizio Romano from the 10th of July, Fofana has agreed personal terms with Milan. Monaco know that he wants to join them. No talks with West Ham in recent days and no proposal from Man United so far. Still no agreement. AC Milan to Monaco. Now, it does go on to say then as well, this is coming from Sky Sports, literally just as we were coming on live, Manchester United have held initial talks with Monaco over the signing of Youssouf Fofana. Now, I think this would be more of the signing that you would want to see in central midfield. And like I said, is it going to be another case where Manchester United pip AC Milan to a priority signing for them? And look, I mean, it had going to Joshua Zirkzee and putting our plan on the table to him turned his head. Okay. Why can't it happen with Fofana as well? That's what I would say. If we can get someone like Joshua Zirkzee to buy into the project and what we're going to be trying to do over the next couple of years, I think it is possible to get someone like Fofana to buy into it as well. He's saying he wants AC Milan, but he wants AC Milan until someone else comes in. And I think he's probably covering these tracks there. I think if Manchester United do come in and if we're speaking with his representatives, at any stage, obviously we've been in talks with Monaco supposedly, but if we're speaking to his representatives, I think he's going to be bang up open for a move, 100%. And he's the type of midfielder that I would like to see. I would rather us go for him than go for someone like Sander Berg, who obviously you would get for cheaper, but yeah, I mean, you have to balance out price for quality as well, and that's what I would say with Fofana. But like I said, I mean the centre midfield area and positions at the moment are ones that I think will change an awful lot between now and the end of the transfer window. Ins and outs: McTominay, Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, Fofana, Ugarte, Sander Berg, whoever it may be. We do need some changes in that midfield, and the sooner we can get them, the better. And the quicker we can get them in and implemented into the squad, I mean, the smoother the start of the season will go, you would hope. Now, look, I mean, am I overly worried about the start of the season? I mean, you do have to realise that, we are going into the start of, if the Premier League started today or tomorrow, we would be going into the Premier League season with one new player. And that would be obviously Joshua Zirkzee, who is probably not ready to play, So we would be going in to a season that, we've basically got the same players as last year, and we've actually sold a couple of players, albeit fringe players. That is a concern to me. It is. And I think, I think we need to get deals done, and I think we need to get them done quick. But again, I mean, you're looking at the whole of the transfer market has been a slow one. It's not just Manchester United. We've actually got, a couple of really good deals done, which was great, and we got them done relatively fast. But if you look at the transfer window, in its entirety so far, there hasn't been an awful lot of deals being done, and is the bubble bursting when it comes to, prices of players? I mean, I'm adamant that clubs are petrified of FFP. When you see what happened to Everton and Nottingham Forest last year, and of course we know, what's going on with City at the moment, albeit they've got a number of charges against them. I think clubs are desperately worried about FFP. I mean, if you get docked 6 points and you go from 8th in the table to 12th, the amount of revenue the difference in revenue from the positions you finish in the league is massive. It's absolutely massive. It really is. And, you could be talking about teams that could potentially be in Europe, and it just teams don't want to break the rules anymore. And I think the reason why we're seeing it slow down so fast is that over the last few years, clubs have spent so high, and they spent so much. And I think it just took them initial couple of point deductions for clubs, for everybody to go, we need to put the brakes on here, and if we don't, we're going to fall into the same boat as them. So I think that's the reason, to be honest with you. Let's see, what are people saying here? Dylan says, Fofana only wants Milan because nobody else wants him at the moment. If we came in for him in a heartbeat, he would come to us. Oshin says, McTominay is going nowhere. Fulham just walked away and no one else seems to have any interest. Well, there was one report, I think was it coming from Sky Sports as well. Now we know that Sky Sports are not overly reliable. They have said that in the past 20 minutes or so since we've been live, let me get it up on the screen here, just as Oshin is saying it. It says Fulham are not expected to return with a new offer for Scott McTominay. They are now focusing on other targets like Andre from Fluminense. So there you go. I mean, that's the merry-go-round that we're looking at. To start another season with Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Victor Lindelof, it's going to be tough. Side note, we really need Luke Shaw to stay fit this season. Really need him to stay fit this season. But Jeds, it's proven quite difficult. It's proven quite difficult, to be honest with you, to get players off the books. McTominay looks like he's staying. Casemiro doesn't look like he's going to Saudi Arabia at the moment. Christian Eriksen seems to be happy enough where he is. It's a concern. It's a concern. That's all I can say. It's a concern. Let's see. What else have we got? Fofana over the line and name on paper would be great. Dylan says, what do you think of Atletico Madrid accepting Man City's 82 million for Julian Alvarez? It's crazy money. It's absolutely crazy money, to be honest with you. Crazy money. Real quick, guys, I do want to talk about Antony. A couple of reports coming out about Antony today suggesting that Al Nassr have switched their attention to Antony after failing to agree a deal for Barcelona's Rafinha. Saudi Arabia coming in for Antony would be absolutely ideal for Manchester United. It really would. Now, I did hear reports earlier today as well suggesting that Barcelona are... not Barcelona are open, but Manchester United have put a proposal of Antony plus cash for De Jong. I don't know the legitimacy of that. Again, I go back to what I've said about De Jong. I'd love to see him come to Manchester United. I don't think he will, because he's on too much money at Barcelona. They want him gone, but again, he's doing to Barcelona what Harry Maguire done to us, and what, maybe Scott McTominay is doing now, or Wan-Bissaka, whatever the case may be. He's on too much money there. He's not going to get that anywhere else. Why should he leave? He can play for Barcelona, he can challenge for the league, he can play in the Champions League, he can get $1 million a week, whatever it is he's getting. Crazy, crazy stuff. Why would he leave? But yeah, on the Antony front, I mean, I would sell him to the local team here if they wanted to buy him. I really would. I wouldn't take him at my own team, though. Yeah, I mean, we need to cut our losses with Antony as quickly as possible. Again, he falls into that bracket of player probably that's on too much money. Will never get the same kind of money anywhere else. Unless Saudi give him silly money, he will probably end up staying at United. I said it from the start of the transfer window. I said unless Saudi Arabia come in, which I didn't think they would, to be honest. Unless they come in, I said Antony will be at United next year, barring maybe a loan spell. But yeah, I mean, yeah. What are you to do? Guys, look, we're going to leave it there. Great start to the videos being back. Obviously, we didn't do one last night because it was a bank holiday in Ireland, so we took the night off. But please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already, guys. And do hit that subscribe button as well. Like I said, we're around 200 away from 11,000 subscribers now, which is brilliant. Over 800 subscribers in the last 10 days, 2 weeks or so, which is absolutely phenomenal. I do appreciate all the support, as always. I do have, so again, just real quick, obviously played the charity game on the weekend in Dublin with Jaap Stam and Brian McClare, Poborski, Jemba, load of different players, and I actually won Jaap Stam's jersey in a raffle at the gala dinner that night, and it's signed by all of the players that were there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raffle the jersey off on the channel. And I'll be doing it maybe this week or next week. I'll keep you updated on it. Yeah, you buy a ticket and you have a chance of winning it as well. And I do have a football as well with all of their signatures on it, which is right there. All of their signatures are on it as well. So maybe we might raffle that off throughout the year. I might just keep it maybe and get it framed either. You never know. But yeah, I will be raffling off the Jaap Stam jersey, so make sure it has number 5 and everything on the back. Now, it's not an actual Manchester United jersey. It's the jerseys we had on the day. Do I have my jersey there? No, it's outside. But yeah, I'll show you, throughout the week. But yeah, it's got, so Stam, McClare, Jemba, Clayton Blackmore, Keith Gillespie, Chris Eagles, and there's a couple more. I'll obviously have them all named when we start the raffle. But yeah, guys, just wanted to let you know that as well. Lads, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll be back tomorrow night again with another live. Until then, have a great evening, and I'll chat to you soon. Take it easy.